You feeling it? Or are you dealing it?
Yep. And this is where we review some of the NFL games that are near and dear to our heart. So don't have to classify it too much, but just some quick thoughts on this. Bucs get the 10-point win over the Bears, 27-17. Had a little bit of defense, a little bit of offense, a little bit of Bears, and Justin Fields not playing up to snuff. What are your thoughts on this one here, man?
Yeah, definitely Bears. Talk about frustration in Chicago with Justin Fields. I mean, there was so much excitement coming into this offseason with this quarterback being the guy, and he goes out there, shits the bed, looks just as bad as he did last year. Actually, last year he looked better than what he did now. But that Bucs defense was just suffocating. And Baker Mayfield, 317 yards and a touchdown. This man's playing better than Deshaun Watson right now.
Yeah, and that's not hard, especially if you're not just waiting for a happy ending. But I will say that when it comes to the Bears, though, I do have a little bit of hope there. And the reason being is not that it is questionable as to why Justin Fields started off so bad when they upgraded his weaponry and he had a whole offseason to get better. But if there's one thing that I will give the Bears credit for that they showed last year is that they're willing to pivot and change some things up. He had a tough start last year, and then he just went off on everybody. If they get back to what he's good at, then they might be able to salvage some of their year, but it's looking like another top 5 pick, that's for sure. Bucs play the Eagles on Monday Night Football. Bucs have a lot of history with the Eagles, and that's going to be interesting. 2-0 teams. Next up, Chiefs and the Jags. This was a tough one to watch because I really was hoping to see the Jags put the Chiefs in an 0-2 hole. This might come back to be some motivation on the playoffs. Who knows? 17-9, some missed opportunities. Real low-scoring affair, which I wasn't expecting. How do you feel about your Jags after this week?
A little bit worrisome. You know, this is one of the teams that you really want them to beat. Most games you can throw it as a toss-up and just throw it away. This one, you kind of wanted this one because these are the Super Bowl champs, and you want to see how you match up with them. No touchdowns for Trevor Lawrence in that box score is a little worrisome. They had him, it was 14-6 by the end of the third. By the end of the third quarter, they had multiple opportunities to score a touchdown and be up ahead on this team. They definitely had them cornered with the defense. The Jaguars defense was playing really well. They were doing really good with Patrick Mahomes, keeping him contained, keeping him controlled, which is very hard to do. But they just let this one slip away with just bonehead mistakes at the end.
Yeah, it gives me some concern with the Chiefs' offense. I think they'll get right ultimately, but it is a little worrisome that they've scored 20 and 17 in 2 games when they normally score that combined in 1 game half the time. But the Jags have a get-right game versus the Texans. They should be able to come out on the better end of that. Saints and Panthers Monday night snooze fest, especially given how the Steelers and Browns game went. But Saints get the win 20-17. They edge it out over the rookie on the Panthers, Bryce Young. This one, it wasn't as close as the 3-point game. They scored right at the end, but pretty underwhelming here, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I agree. I know this was the night when they had the 2 Monday night games going on at the same time. So I'm pretty sure most people were watching the other game and not this one, except Alex. But the Saints just, they're 2-0. They're tied for the division lead, and but they don't look like a good team. They're kind of just, bumbling their way through these wins with Derek Carr being just average Derek Carr. Yeah, I don't know what we have with the Saints until we play them. But Carolina looks like they're going to be in the doghouse for the whole year.
Yeah, and I think they're going to be down some draft capital for having to trade up for Bryce Young. So who knows how long it'll take to pull up because they have a good defense. But yeah, it's going to be, we'll have to see what happens. The Saints play the Packers in week 3. That is going to be a smelly game because you got the Packers with the cheese, and then you have the Saints coming from the crap hole, swamp butt New Orleans. Hold your noses when you watch that one. Dolphins and Patriots. Alex has to be thrilled. He might not be 2-0, but his Dolphins are. It was a divisional game. Tua looked good in the first half, did not look as good in the second half. I think there's a stat that said he had 15 fantasy points in the first half, ended with 14, so he didn't really have the best ending there. But when you play the Patriots and they're so good at taking away your top option. They got the job done. So it's an important win for them, that's for sure, especially on the road.
Yeah, the Patriots, over the past couple of years, they've had a really good defense. So they had a really good showing there at home against the Dolphins. They always play anybody tough there at home. But it was a good test for the Dolphins. They came away with the win, so they can feel good about that. That they have a good shot at beating the Patriots if they were to face them again in the playoffs. So I wouldn't hang my hat too low, but I wouldn't be too excited about the result either.
Yeah, we'll have to see if the Dolphins can pull off the sweep later on. They'll play them next at home. That's a little later in the year. Dolphins play the Broncos next. We'll have to see how Surtain deals with the speed of Tyreek Hill. That'll be a fun match. Next, I'm going to breeze over quickly here, but I'll get your thoughts on what stands out to you more. The Eagles' Thursday night win over the Vikings was 34-28. Eagles play the Bucs next. And the Bills got right against the Raiders, 38-10. The Bills play the Commanders in Week 3. Out of those two games, what stands out the most to you?
I think I would have to go back to the Eagles and Vikings game. I believe that was on Thursday night. It was a pretty boring game for the first half. Second half, fireworks. Jalen Hurts. They're back to being one of the top offensive teams in the NFL, and they're definitely a Super Bowl contender. Minnesota Vikings, kind of the storyline's the same with them. They just can't get it done.
Yeah, they're definitely not as good in one-score games this year, but it gives me hope for the Bucs that the Eagles were picked apart by Kirk Cousins, who we were able to keep under wraps. So it gives me a little bit of hope there. We'll have to see. It was cool to see the Bills get back to it, but again, I'm not sure if that says more about the Bills or more about the Raiders. But let's move on. This next and last segment here is what we call Whatchu Watchin. We're not going to go through every single game because, hey, you can look at the app for that, all right? There's an app for that, right? So we're going to go over one fantasy game, one NFL game, and one player each as far as what we each are watching for. Goose, give me a fantasy game that you have your eyes on this week.
Sure. I'm going to be watching your matchup against my brother. Both of you guys are 1-1. Thank Me Later versus my Jameer on the ball. And they're projected to beat him right now, 136-119. We're going to see if Russell Wilson is ready to cook. He's going to put him back in that lineup. He had 36 points. I think wasn't he the top scoring quarterback?
I think he was behind Kirk Cousins, but yeah, he was up there. I think he was up there for sure.
I don't think we've heard that in a long time. So, anyways, we'll see if he can get it done. But yeah, you have the advantage at quarterback and running back, but it looks like he has the advantage at wide receiver and at the flex spot. I know things will change, but I'm excited. Somebody's got to get a win here.
Yeah, and 2-1 looks a lot better than 1-2, so I'm looking forward to that. Sam and I have some history as well. He's been owning me for the last in the recent part, and he's had some better years than I have in the past couple. So I'm trying to make a comeback. We'll see what happens, but I got to tell you, I got my eye on Saheed and Alex. They are both 1-1 as well, and this is projected to be a close game. We might end up having one of these two guys on next week. Saheed is favored by 2.1 points, and we got some good matchups here. Quarterback, it's Josh Allen versus Tua. You got running back, you got Javonte and Algier versus Miles and Zeke, so you got kind of that. You got the starters versus the high-level backups. See what will happen there. And then a wide receiver. This is going to be entertaining in my opinion. Justin Jefferson and Calvin Ridley versus St. Brown and Waddle. Now, St. Brown and Waddle are dealing with some injuries. We'll have to see how they come out of that. But the flex, that's also something not to write home about here. You got Saheed starting London and Pitts. I don't know if that's going to change or not, but when you bet on the Falcons offense and it's not Bijan, he's got three guys from that offense. I don't know if that's going to bode well for him. So we'll have to see how that rocks out.
Nice. All right. Last piece. What game are you looking forward to this week?
I am looking at the Chargers and the Vikings. 2-0-2 teams. They need a win desperately or their season is going to slip away. The over-under is 53.5. This should be a balls-to-the-wall thriller. I'm hoping it's a lot like the Dolphins and Chargers game in Week 1. And right now, Vegas has it as a pick'em. They're even, so that's going to be entertaining. But how about you, Goose? What you looking at?
I'm going to keep my eyes on that Eagles and Bucs. I'm playing Manny. He's got Jalen Hurts, and so a lot of our results is gonna come down to that game. We want to see if these Bucs are for real, right? The Eagles have one of the top defenses in the NFL. Jalen Hurts, that's a Super Bowl contending team. They just waxed the Vikings. So can we keep up? Can we play with the big boys? It's going to be a true test for the Bucs this year.
Yeah, be interesting to see if we win, let alone keep it close. I hope we look good on national TV. And what about a player? Who are you looking at to either sink or swim this week?
This week, to be honest, I think we kind of just talked about it. I want to see Russell Wilson. Is he back? I'm not going to say he's going to be back to his MVP status, but is he a good quarterback? Wasn't Nathaniel Hackett? Did he mess him up? So I'm excited to see him this week against the Dolphins, which should be a high-scoring matchup. But Sean Payton's offenses, lately have been high-scoring. So it's going to be fun and entertaining to see how that's going to end up.
Wow, yeah. And honestly, the guy that I'm looking at, I'll get my answer here in less than a couple of days. I'm looking at the dense doofus Daniel Jones versus San Francisco. He looked absolutely horrible versus Dallas, who has that top 5 defense. Then they had the comeback and acted like that they did something special coming back against a team actively trying to tank for Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. And now he gets to play San Francisco on a short week. Saquon is going to be out. It's going to be on him. You were drafted high. You were paid a bunch of money this offseason. DJ, what are you going to do? I think you're going to fail. I think that honestly you are one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Straight up. I tell you straight to your face, if I could look at your face without laughing, because you are horrible. I don't know why they paid you that money. I would rather have my sister throw it with her offhand. And spoiler alert, I don't have a sister, okay? So I'd rather put nobody back there and have the center snap it for a safety every play than to have you back there. And I think you're going to get exposed as hell this Thursday night. If he does anything different, I will be absolutely surprised. I think this could be close to another shutout. I don't believe in him whatsoever, so I am looking to see if I am right that Daniel Jones is going to be the biggest bust on this side of a new contract.
Oh man, that sounds personal.
Just a little bit. I don't understand why the Giants like getting these guys at quarterback that look like douchebags from high school. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But hey, to each their own. They've won a couple Super Bowls with Eli, but it ain't going to happen with DJ. I'm sorry. But, all right, Gus, Goose, whatever your name is, we're at the end here. What are your thoughts on Week 2, man? Week 1 was a lot of injuries. Week 2 was more injuries. Did anything else stand out to you?
Not really. I'm just excited to see the matchups. Week 3, I'm going to predict more injuries.
Oh, yeah, wonderful. That's quite the positive outlook there. Thanks for that. You keep that on your side. What stands out to me is our divisions, man. We got the top 2 divisions playing each other. We have one guy 2-0, one guy 0-2, and then the rest are 1-1. And then you look at the XFL and Pop Warner, and the XFL is 2-0 all across the board. The Pop Warner are 0-2, and it means that both divisions are wide open. All divisions are wide open. It's Week 2, but it's going to be interesting to see after 3 weeks how these divisions look from top to bottom.
Yeah, agree.
Well, that is it, everybody. Hope you enjoyed Week 2 of the Goose and the Griz podcast. Good luck in Week 3, and take it easy. Goodbye.
Peace.
I'm coming in hot.